Welcome, Justin. How are you today?
Doing very well, Dharam. It's always great to join you. Excited for another fantastic session with you. And summer is moving right along already. I don't know what I don't think we can stop it at this point, but soon it's going to be fall, and all that heat that everybody's experiencing around the world will be wishing for some heat before you know it here, at least in the northern hemispheres of the world.
Exactly. Look, this is going, crazy. They're almost we crossed almost 7 months now of the year, and yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying so far, and in Dallas. So you're traveling, and you've got lots are happening. So that's exciting. And today's topic is actually, and I want to draw out on your experience of working in GCC or Gulf and all the work have been doing. So let's get something out of you and let other people enjoy how Justin has established how what skills Justin has to use to settle himself or grow himself, in Middle East or new culture, especially because when you move from one culture to another culture, that sometimes people feel, what's going to happen, whether I will be okay, or whether the people will accept me or I will accept. All these things goes in the mind.
That's
So
true.
yeah. So today's topic is interesting, and drawing on the program management competencies. What competencies are important? What you utilize, and what are important for our friends watching this video.
Yeah, first off, I will say that what I have learned in my years in the Middle East now, actually, even thinking about it, it's coming up on almost 15 years. I
15
don't know
years.
where it's gone. It doesn't seem that long ago when I got on a plane in the U.S. in 2010, December of 2010, to come to Doha, Qatar, and ends up being where that was 3 days before it was announced that they had won the 2022 World Cup. And me being the young and dumb self that I was at that time, I was like, oh, I won't be around in the Middle East in 2022. So, that I don't necessarily need to worry about that so much. And, certainly those words did not age well, but I think it kind of came to a point where when you have the experience of working abroad, you tend to continue to find yourself, whether regardless of what company, you find yourself having the experience that you gain in certainly certain parts of the world are a skill that is in high commodity. So it got to the point where I'm going, I should really embrace it instead of being, how do I want to say, short-sighted in my thinking. And
Yeah.
once I embraced it fully and kind of planted my flag, so to speak, saying, all right, I'm gonna figure the Middle East out and really learn how to do business, not just with our U.S. federal clients, but in the commercial world as well. And once I did that, it really, even from a personal and professional life, it really opened my gates up for everything. And I've been blessed to have some amazing friendships that span across the globe, and it's even resulted in me meeting my wife here in the Middle East. So I have nothing but great things to say about this part of the world, and by me truly embracing it, was the result of everything, the successes that I've had here. From an initial, to answer your question, some of the insights, one of the big things that anywhere I go, even to this day, and I guess maybe it's the little kid in me, I've always, I wanted to be a pilot when I was little. And Dharam, you've met me. I'm an former American football player. I wouldn't fit in a cockpit real well as a pilot. So I came to the realization that that dream was probably not going to be the case. But I loved traveling. I always loved to fly. And so whenever I would go somewhere, especially when I got that first taste of traveling internationally, I really wanted to just understand everything. And to this day, when I'm going somewhere that I haven't been, I'm online looking at anything and everything, understanding the history and some of the influences, what are the popular foods and all the different things that make up that local culture. That's the beautiful thing in the world. And it always makes me sick, especially as we Americans, wherever you want to travel, don't go to McDonald's. Go somewhere that you can't get at home. Like just embrace it. And that will help you not only in the personal world, but the professional world as well.
Excellent.
And I would say here in the Middle East, especially relationships, as we've talked about throughout all of our podcasts, and your stakeholder engagement are, in my mind, the most important thing you could possibly do as a program manager. But especially here in this part of the world, relationships are even more important, I believe. And when you can build that kind of rapport with folks here locally, they can literally move mountains for you and make things so easy. But if they do not trust you, and you're not living up to what you said you were going to do, life's going to be very hard. And that's not a knock, but that is how it is. And it's very relationship driven, and everything that I try and do is, hey, if I can't deliver on something in a certain time, I'm going to be the first one to tell them. And they appreciate that honesty, and that builds that trust because they know that you're not trying to just say something to get by. You're
Yeah.
being honest and being genuine with them, and that goes a long way, especially in this part of the world.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you for sharing this. This is so useful to know, and especially when you move states, countries, or culture, you need to be adaptable. You need to be resilient. You need to be friendly. You need to know being curious, knowing about the culture, knowing about the food, knowing about the local people. Because thing is that you cannot expect them to change for you. You have to adapt based on the culture you are in.
That's right.
And once you
That's
do
right.
that, the life is totally different. You're not going to complain anything, rather enjoying every bit, whatever happening around you.
No question. And when you do that, you're going to experience some great memories that,
Oh, yeah.
even within my professional life that I've had over here, that on a personal level just turned into some amazing friendships that again, there's a lot of times now where when we're having a meeting that is obviously due to business, we'll talk about that business, but we literally will stop and say, okay, now that we've handled that, on the personal side, how are you doing? That's the kind of stuff that I
Yeah,
really enjoy in this part of the world.
exactly. You look, business is there and your career is there, but at the same time, how are we enjoying the personal life, the enjoying the vibes and the food and culture and the friendship around? That's very important for us to enjoy. Otherwise, it's so much pressure. If you go to a new country, and so much, you have the language problem, this problem, religion problem, this problem, oh my god, and suddenly your boss is expecting you to do this and then fly in, fly out. It can be crazy. You become so easily become so crazy at very soon.
You're exactly right. And a lot of times, yeah, like you say, the travel, it can wear on you. And there's certain things, of course, that are not gonna, the processes are not gonna be the same as your home country. But
Yeah,
you know, we've kind of always talk about agile. Well, you have to be agile and expect the unexpected because
yeah,
you're in a place that's not your home, country. And so being able to understand that, embrace it. And I've learned to expect that it's not going to necessarily go exactly how I planned, but it's now
yeah,
to the point where I know that based on all of my experiences that I've had, that no matter what gets thrown at me, I know I'll find a way to get through and deliver on time with the correct solution. And
exactly.
that just comes from just pure experience and going through that. We've even talked about it in the past with sometimes you got to throw someone in the deep end and let them swim a little bit. Certainly don't let them drown, but you got to go and kind of find it your own way. And that's certainly what I've had to do. And sometimes I get accused of, oh, it's just so easy over here. You do it so easily. And well, it's not easy. We make it look easy, because we've worked very hard at it, and it's something that you continuously have to evolve and maintain
Yeah,
those relationships.
exactly. Now, look, just let me ask you this question. Drawing from your experience in the Middle East, we are interested to understand how you have adapted your leadership style to effectively manage diverse and distributed teams, particularly in the challenging environment you're working in. Would like to share some insight on this?
Yeah, we've kind of already kind of alluded to it a little bit,
Yeah.
where in the traditional sense, it's very, I don't want to say in the analog way and very rigid and traditional way of doing things. And some of the particular projects that I was put in charge of early when I came over to the Middle East, you couldn't put a schedule or, an integrated master schedule together and literally just go line by line and, because critical paths were changing all the time,
All the time.
and so it almost when you're first, you don't have the relationships and everything else. As you've heard me before, it's drinking through a fire hose. You're firefighting every day and trying to figure things out. But once you do figure those things out, you kind of always, like when I put a schedule together now, because based out of all my experiences, I know that some things may take a little bit longer. So I'm putting some extra lag in certain things. But again, you have to work through those over time to be able to understand that. And of course, taking into account, certain religious holidays like here in the Middle East with Ramadan and the Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adhas, all those different things. And depending on which country you're in, the national days and all those different things, and being able to work that into your schedule, because you're not going to be able to perform during those particular times at the same level during normal business hours. So I find myself now more than anything looking at other schedules for other projects that I'm not necessarily in charge of here anymore, but knowing the different things and holidays that are going on in the Middle East, that's one of the biggest things that I look at that's usually not taken into account, that can result in many months delays simply because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so that's where really my experience draws into there. But from a leadership standpoint, my style may be a little bit more agile than usual, so to speak. I try as much as possible, because of our different processes within the company. I try to be as traditional as possible, but maintain that flexibility. And sometimes that, let's just say, the leadership doesn't like that back at home, but to a certain extent, they also know that from a standpoint of making sure that we deliver for our customers, we have never let them down. And so they understand that, hey, we know that you're a little bit different, and but we know that you're going to get the job done in the end. And so but you have to build that credibility and rapport within your organization to be able to get to that level. But from my leadership standpoint, answering your question, it's a little bit more agile, but I do draw, as usual, on my athletic background. And servant leadership was something that was instilled in us during my college football days, and it's something that I certainly believe in extensively. And even working alongside our U.S. military and different U.S. government entities around the world, servant leadership has been proven time and time again. It's something that I continue to learn and build upon, and it's something that the teams that I've led have been very successful. And I would say probably the greatest, uh, how do I want to say it? The greatest testimonial, or however you want to call it, or greatest award that I can get, is usually the folks that work for me. They're always talking about that they want to come back and work for me again if possible. And I'd say that that's probably the greatest gift or award that one can receive.
Oh, definitely, indeed. Like, when you do good thing for your team member, the team, and they enjoy working with you, they definitely want to come work with you. And that's the loyalty you build by working, supporting, assisting, and they do the best, and they do not only best, they go beyond their capabilities sometimes. because you supported them when they needed at the most. And now your project needs or you need, they're always there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And especially as a leader when you're working in another country and
Yeah.
say your team is from, in my case, the United States a lot of times. When you're overseas on another project and it's really all we have is each other. And so we have to,
Yep.
even as a program manager, while you want to keep it professional, to a certain extent, you have to make sure on a personal level that your team is doing well. If things are not okay at home, it's going to be really tough for your team or your workers to be able to perform at a high level. So making sure that they have things taken care of them on the home front to
Yep.
be able to perform their best overseas, and making sure that they have as much as possible from the creature comforts of making sure that they have a nice place to stay and good internet, and are you getting good meals? While that's a small thing, it's very big. And so, as a leader, you kind of take them under your wing, almost as a father type figure as well, and making sure that your people are taken care of when they're not at home. So I've found great success with that.
Fantastic. Good job. Thank you for sharing.
You bet.
Okay, you have managed significant projects across GCC countries. Can you share a specific instance where early risk identification was critical to the success of the project? What strategies
Uh,
you employ to mitigate those risks?
Yeah, my first time that I came to the Middle East, and I recognize you have to be humble. You recognize that I'm a fish out of water, so to speak. And the first thing that I needed to do was I needed to make a friend locally that could educate me on the things that I'm not going to be able to find out on the internet on my own.
Yeah.
And one of the specific things that I found out was, as I had talked about, those religious holidays. And that's one of the things that thankfully I had found a friend that could get me educated on those different things. Because ultimately, if I didn't and I put a schedule together, and not accounted for those times, I would have never been able to deliver for my customer. And so being able to find someone even within your organization, if at all possible, and just sitting down and just, hey, tell me what are some things that I'm not seeing or not recognizing. And so from a standpoint here in the Middle East, Ramadan is certainly an extremely important time of the year. And you're from a work standpoint, you're not going to have the performance that you usually do. And so planning for that in your schedule gives you that flexibility from a stakeholder engagement. I'll never forget the first time I put a schedule in, and I put in Ramadan plus the Eid holidays, and the customer didn't even know what that was, and for all intents and purposes, I basically put it just as 45 days off. Yes, we were going to try and get some work done, but that's very dependent. And so they didn't necessarily like it at first, but then when I explained to them what was going to be happening, like, oh, thank you for letting us know. That wouldn't have been good if we were going to tell our customer that we were going to have it in a certain time and we weren't going to make it. And
Yeah.
so finding a friend right away. Also, too, given that you're working in an environment where you're probably trying to rely on supplies that are coming in from other countries, the big thing always from a risk standpoint is your customs
Yeah.
for all of your materials. That's always a big thing that you really need to work out ahead of time to figure things out. That's one of the big things usually in our line of work. But again, at the end of the day, it always comes down to relationships. Find friends. And so that was a huge risk identification and mitigation over time that has worked out well for me. And I don't claim to know everything, but as I've gotten older and more experienced, I try and share as much as I can with others that are going through the same things that I did when I was starting out. But there's also things that I'm continuously learning that I never thought about that. Thankfully, I haven't had to have that issue, but I put that in my own memory bank to make sure next time that someone needs help, I can help them on that.
Yeah, and that's what the local experience, when you start living in that place, now you have experience and exposure, and you have seen many years in Middle East. Like there are certain time when nothing can move. You like to, but and that comes from local experience. Unless you talk to somebody locally, and you now risk identification, risk mitigation is all about your subject matter expert knowledge or your personal knowledge or information, and more you can understand, you can identify the risk easily. Like
That's right.
you mentioned about customs, some countries have certain way of handling the customs, because customs is custom. Some places very, of course, very rigid. They don't move at all. Some places they move with different ways. Anyway, so that's the local knowledge, local understanding, help you to identify your risk. And sooner you can understand, let's say you moved in a new country, knowing about the local culture, local people, and that you cannot find just in doing Google or internet. You have to have a right people around you who can actually give you the specific knowledge which you don't have at the moment.
That's right.
Yeah, good job. Good. Okay, given the structured nature of project, those like in U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, so you have worked for them. How have you introduced agile methodologies in traditionally rigid environments? What challenges and benefit have you encountered, and how did you overcome those challenges?
What I would say, the short and easy way to answer this one, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is known for building projects around the world, and so from that particular organization, they are known for their rigid and very structured nature. With that being said, given that they've done so much work around the world, that organization does have some very good understanding of local cultures and their different districts. But with that being said, as we kind of talked about it in the beginning, is really that stakeholder engagement.
Yeah.
None of us know everything to a certain part of the world or a certain country, but being able to have that open line of communication, as I can't say it enough, and I probably sound like a broken record, but stakeholder engagement is, if anything, as a program project manager, I think is the most important. That is able to set expectations, have that open lines of communication, and especially in projects that are known to be a little bit more rigid, but in the case that you're overseas, you're in another country, you're dealing with all these different risks that you wouldn't recognize at home, or even the simple fact of, hey, for us Americans, you can't go down the street to Home Depot or Lowe's to grab something. You have to understand who are my local suppliers that I can draw upon if needed. These are the type of things that it just immediately just flows into a more agile environment, because you're in that environment overseas. Now, from the organization back in the U.S., a little bit different, but since we're talking more in the realm of overseas, that is the big thing. I can't stress enough from an agile standpoint and stakeholder engagement. And the challenges, it's kind of boring. It's truly the cultural norms. The always is the import and export. With certain pieces of equipment might have ITAR control, International Trade and Arms Agreement. So all them different things that you have to identify up front, and usually there's always a upfront and continuous engagement on both sides of different things and challenges, because when you go together, like with as we're talking about the Army Corps engineers to a project overseas, while we may be to a company and the customer, you really kind of form a partnership, because at the end of the day, you're over there trying to get a job done that quite frankly couldn't be done in any other way. So when you bring that stakeholder engagement together and foster that communication, that's the best way to introduce the agile methodologies, to make sure that they still have that okay, I can work with this type of mentality and saying, whoa, 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 what's this? Being able to have that open engagement is going to do you well with any of the challenges that are going to come out. That, quite frankly, you have to expect the unexpected.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, in some of the environments where things are not easy to work, that's where you need to, building the stakeholder engagement, finding your stakeholders, which are, sometimes tough and sometimes easy, but, navigating through them and building relationship, partnership, and that's where most of the work can happen faster. And when you bring in some methodology like agile, while they have been used to of waterfalls, predictive way of doing things, now you're introducing agile, some portion of agile, it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, and by no means am I going full agile. I want to be clear on that one, but yeah, there's just certain things you can keep in the traditional sense, but you have to maintain some flexibility, and that comes down to expectation management,
Yeah,
which then boils down to your stakeholder engagement at the end of the day.
exactly. Okay, having worked in extensively in GCC, how do you leverage local cultural insight and relationship to foster project success and effectively navigating through the political and commercial landscape?
I know we've talked a lot about it so far, but one of the things that we've really kind of done a fantastic job locally is, with the supply chain shortages worldwide, instead of relying so much on, let's say, US supply chains, is identifying other supply chains that are a little bit, or diversifying, whether it be locally or regionally, or even, given that the Middle East is so central to so many different parts of the world, within a 7-hour flight, you can get to all of Europe, to the Far East, and even to most of Africa. And so you're at a central position geographically, and being able to exploit that particular geographic centrality in all facets, from having people based in this part of the world. You're able to easily get up to Europe, to Africa, to the Far East, be able to respond to any particular customer needs much more thoroughly and quickly. And not only that, by having folks over here, instead of flying someone from all the way from the US, where they're going to be hammered with jet lag, it's not nearly as bad as Dharam, going from Dallas to Australia. It's pretty rough. But I would say that more than anything, using the cultural insights and relationships to foster our project successes, and a real differentiator as of the last few years post-COVID, has been able to diversify our supply chains, to be able to not rely so much on one particular area. And that's easier said than done. So being able to use those relationships to diversify, to help deliver for your customers still on time, while a lot of different places, companies in the world, are not able to deliver for their customers because they're waiting on materials. So that is something that that we haven't already talked about, that I would say is would answer your question.
Yeah, and this is very important, especially Middle East. If you just rely on one source of supply and having supply chain problem, you're expecting something coming from US or some other countries, and you cannot get them because there's a Panama thing happening at the time. The canal, some stuck. No, actually not Panama. Actually, there was
Suez.
Suez Canal, where like big ship stuck and you cannot move at all. A big problem. But knowing about the local, suppliers, and they may not get the exact same specification, or not specification, but a quality, but you can still get the things done to a certain extent. So that's actually important for any project managers to know about. And how can I first, knowing about the local, being aware of what is available in the market and quality, you can start building the relationship with them, give them your specification, maybe give them portion of the work to them while you're expecting something from other part, your mitigation building relation, yeah, let them do some work for you, and then they can be a fallback plan.
Yeah, what we've been even able to find that, since we're such a globally connected world, even though you might have a particular company in the US that you get a lot of your supplies from, odds are that they probably have an authorized retailer here in the region. And so I've had different discussions with retailers back in the US saying, hey, what if I were to be able to place an order with you here in the US, but I want to be able to pick it up at your authorized dealer in Dammam, Saudi Arabia.
Mm.
Let me look into that so we can place the order here. You take care of all the shipping and everything. Let me know when it's there. So that way it's already done. It's cleared customs and I just go and pick it up. So those are the type of out of the box thinking type things
Yeah.
that really allow you to find success. And I know many companies are doing those type of things across all industries. And that's the kind of, I would say before COVID, we didn't really get into that true life cycle span of all the different supply chains. And now you start seeing okay, I want to evaluate where's my supply chains, how are they going, how can I exploit it to be, more efficient and cut out some of the other tasks that I would traditionally have in a master schedule with shipping and things like that. Okay, I place the order and my supplier gets it to where I need it to be and I pick it up. I just cut out a lot of risk.
Mm.
So those are the type of things that you really want to be thinking outside the box that'll bring you great benefits.
Perfect. That's fantastic. Thinking out of the box, getting, working with your international suppliers, but local, where you don't have to worry about the custom fees and then delays. Yeah, delays can be there, but now it's not your problem, their problem.
That's right. Exactly.
Exactly. Good. Now let's talk about your MBA and your continuous involvement in high-tech projects you are involved. How do you see emerging technology like AI, IoT, reshaping program management in engineering and military sales?
Well, I think it's shaping our lives in entirety at the moment. But I would say more than anything from a program management standpoint, typically we have these, let's just call them monthly reports and monthly deliverables and all these different things. And something that we're really looking at, because some of the different reporting deliverables that we have can be very extensive and very labor intensive. And so when you start looking at it, it's like from a contract standpoint, you have a significant cost center in just your labor and being able to generate reports.
Mm.
And so one of those particular things using AI and program management is leveraging that to be able to use the technology and being able to have AI generate the report for you. And so being able to look at having folks, verify, trust but verify, but have that do it for you, where all of a sudden you're finding major efficiencies in your monthly deliverables. I think that that's something to really look at, and I think that that's where program management is going with AI and some of the great opportunities there.
Yeah.
From a military standpoint and engineering, same thing in a much larger scale. And every time I'll go to some of these trade shows, when you see robots that look like dogs and being able to they're walking up and down the aisles and robots, and I see videos. It's as the geek in me, yeah, that's really cool. But at the same point, you're starting to wonder. You think of the movie, I think it was I, Robot with Will Smith. I'm going, I'm not sure that I like that either, in the conservative way to look at it. But I think that from a military standpoint, I think there is it's an arms race, quite frankly. When you look at, there's very huge competing interests across the globe with many superpowers, and certainly we want to make sure that it's done in the greatest how do I want to say it, with the best intentions. Certainly from a capability, I think the possibilities are limitless.
Mhm.
but we certainly want to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible manner. How about that? But from an engineering standpoint, I think I'll just say this: giga projects in the Middle East here, when it comes to the line and Neom and Qiddiya and all these Diriyah, all these amazing, huge projects, and even Qatar just announced an amazing one, going to probably be kicking off soon in UAE. But not only that, some of the things you see across the world. Um, what an awesome time to be alive and being able to witness it, and it's just a matter of trying to keep up with it that I think is the hardest part at this time.
Yeah, look, this is so good to, knowing about there's so much technology coming up, and it's making life easy. Every technology has positive and negative sides as well, and we get sometimes see so much negativity in that we forget about the positivity. But we need to, especially from the business point of view, how this will add value to me, and what else we can do with this new technology. Like and initially, with many people talking about Chat GPT and artificial intelligence, negative, taking away jobs. Yeah, it's still taking away job, but the amount of efficiency they can bring, this system can bring, is enormous. The things which were taking 2 days to complete, now you can have half an hour, and you look into that and review, revise, and hang on, it's all there. And you probably, from business point of view, you probably, couple of people who have to work overnight, they don't have to. They just have to now do different things.
Exactly. Yeah, those particular deliverables can be so labor intensive and so stressful. And usually the people that are doing those reports, it's not their main job anyway. So
Yeah.
being able to be able to take a little bit of a workload off of them and give them a little bit more of a work-life balance,
Yeah.
that's a win-win all around.
Yeah, especially when the technology, like some skills are not so much available, and this new technology, new way of doing things can help you still do the job. Why not?
That's right.
Now, could you elaborate on how you align diverse project objectives with organizational goals at a multinational level, and what is the approach to maintaining this alignment during evolving market dynamics?
So from a standpoint of as a project man or a program manager, usually what happens, at least within our organization, before we ever pursue an opportunity, we have to go through a checklist of,
Yeah.
does it align with our growth goals? Is it moving us up the value chain? Is it something that we want to get into? Yeah, we could be the favorite and win it, but is that particular work, is it the most profitable? Or maybe it's not the most profitable, but is it strategic? Does it give us a footprint in a country that we're not doing business in right now, that we want to be able to have a strength? So I would say that from an organization standpoint, we do a great job of being able to answer the mail on that before it even gets to the program management level, because it's already gone through that strategic alignment. And probably I would say one of the great challenges, especially in the industry that I'm in, is a lot of times a program manager just finds out we want a job and they just get thrown. Here you go. Here's the proposal. Here's the performance work statement, and good luck to you, type thing. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to be better at, and making sure that those program managers are involved during the proposal phase, so
Yeah.
that they're not, really, just getting handed it and say, have a nice day. And so being able to make sure that, hey, as senior leadership, we're deciding on whether that's something we want to pursue, but having that engagement and I would say word, or having that person that is a little bit more intimately involved on the ground operations, having their seat at the table is just as valuable, because they're likely going to know something that we as senior leaders don't know, and it's something that we've got to take into consideration. So from that standpoint, I am always trying to engage our folks on the ground, because they're the ones doing the work. And every time that I happen to be pursuing something here in the region, I'm going to talk to our folks locally to
Mm,
see what they might know about it. A lot of times what you'll find out is your own staff may have worked on a particular that same project that you're pursuing, or a contract, and so then all of a sudden you have some inside information that no one else might have, and so again, making sure that you have those relationships with your own folks internally. That's usually you have a lot of the answers to your questions within your own house, and it's just being able to find it. So that is one of my biggest approaches. But the beautiful thing is kind of my role now is when I'm identifying an opportunities to make sure it does align with our strategicness as well as our overall goals. But again, of course, it has to be within our financial parameters, or hey, we got to make sure that we're doing this the right way. Or the fact is that there might be someone that can do it cheaper, but we want to make sure that we're delivering the best value.
yeah,
And my company has certainly done that in the region since 1972, so they know what they're doing.
exactly. They know what they're doing. Perfect. Okay, good job. What communication strategies have you found most effective when managing multicultural and geographically dispersed teams? And how do you ensure all team members are aligned and motivated?
Yeah, this is a great question. One of the biggest things for me, and everybody's style is different,
Yep.
so I recognize that. But my leadership style is when I recognize that we have teams that are spread all across the world, but at some time, or there's going to be opportunities where you're going to be able to sit across a table from each one of those individuals. And that time is the most important for you as a leader. It's being able for them to sit across from you and being able to see you, understand your body language, and look into your eyes to know the kind of person that you are.
Yep.
So that, and especially in this part of the world, as we've talked about relationship wise, they have to be able to trust you more than anything.
Yep.
Um, it- and so, and that goes to the same for the folks that work for you. As a leader, you have to take that time to be able to understand them, get to know them. What are the things that motivate them? So then when you have these later meetings on Zoom or Teams, they've already have that they know who you are as a person, they understand what you're about, and again, they have to trust you as well to make sure that they feel that you're taking care of them. And so for me, that has been the most effective, is being able to take advantage of the time. Work is work, and at the end of the day, we all can be replaced.
Yep.
And so, but I want to make sure that when I have the opportunity to sit with my team, I want to know them away from the work environment, making sure that they feel comfortable with me as a person, to make sure that they know that I'm someone that they can trust when we're going into, a very difficult project, that I'm not going to leave them. I'm going to be there to make sure that we see it through, and I got their backs. And so I think that for me, in my leadership style, has been the most successful for me.
No doubt. You're doing a good job. And I'm sure people working with you feeling, and if they're watching, they feel lucky.
I must say that I have had some great mentors over the years. I attribute a lot of it to them,
Yeah.
and it's something that hey, they passed it to me, and I'm doing the same now. It's the best gift.
And actually, that's very true. Like, what we are today is not just we born like this. So many things happen in our lives. So many people came in our life, your mother, father, your parents, teacher, and your friends. And then you have mentors and your books you're reading and the situation you've gone through. That's what we are. And
That's
we have
right.
learned and we became, what we are today. And
That's right.
passing that knowledge to, the tested knowledge to the people who are growing up in the same line, and they can also benefit from the talk we are having today, or other talks we have, had we had the podcast, so many podcasts we have. So it should be a pool where they can come back and take a dip.
Especially this time of year.
This time, yeah, it's very hot. And we need lots of knowledge, and we have a pool here with the knowledge. Now, your career is spanning multiple significant certification, and I know 5 certificates in 2022 was, awesome, and I was involved in 2 of them, PgMP, PfMP, and then MBA. What is your philosophy on continuous learning and development, especially in the fast evolving field of program management?
I will say yes. I know Dharam, you and I were talking about it earlier. As all of a sudden, 2022 is when I started all these certifications, and then followed it up with the MBA. And I'm very proud of what I've done. But I think, it took some time for me to how do I want to say, grasp the continuous learning and development. And it's something that I guess more than anything that I think I was kind of feeling stale in my profession, so to speak. And I was I was frustrated, but I wasn't necessarily doing anything about it on my own. And I we were just talking about mentors, and I ended up meeting someone that was an extremely accomplished individual that I have nothing but the greatest respect for, and led folks in the military to some unbelievable situations, and got them through that. And him and I had kind of made a pact at that time, like, to really go in hard at certifications, and really, he's kind of the one that lit the fire in me again, I guess. And then I started to really kind of put my plan into place, as we've talked about in some of the other videos. And it's something that fire, I continue to just put wood on at this point in time. I am continuously always looking at, okay, is there something else that I should do to to make myself better? And certainly AI is something that I need to. I know I'm falling behind on that. I'll admit that publicly right now. I think, quite frankly, I think everybody is. I don't think you could possibly stay up to date on it, to be honest with you. But I feel that I am behind even further. And I think that that's something that's great now that it's brought out in me, that I recognize my flaws, and instead of complaining about it, I want to do something about it. And I think that it's very important for that self-reflection. And that is something that, hey, in life, we only have a certain time on this earth. Instead of trying to say that it's somebody else's fault, why don't you just focus on being the very best version of yourself that you can possibly be? And that includes in your personal life and your professional life. And so, once I kind of had that mindset flip, things, the fire was started. And it's I really am a firm believer in it, and now I'm even meeting with folks. In fact, today I was meeting with chief executives that when you look at their resume, I'm going, ooh, I need to get on that. Those are some of the great things that. But having those certifications that I do have, which I'm of course very proud of, it does give me some instant credibility and respect as well when I'm going into some meetings. That the best thing is, we've talked about it before, PgMP and PfMP are really differentiators, because PMP, there's so many of them, everybody knows about it.
Yep.
It's always a nice little talking point or a discussion point of what is PgMP or PfMP. Those are, it's becoming more known now, but there still are, there's a curiosity there. So being able to explain to them that, yeah, it doesn't stop at the PMP. There's even more higher ones than that. So, I encourage everyone to, personally and professionally, just focus on trying to be the very best person that you can possibly be, because we don't have we're only on this earth for a certain amount of time, so there's no sense in doing anything without everything you got.
Exactly. And another thing is, as you mentioned, life is short and we have limited time. And we have to be the best of ourselves, not to compete with somebody else just because Justin got 5 certificates. I should have 7 certificates, not about that. What is, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I want to be the better of me, not somebody else. And for that, continuous learning, reading is always there. Um, I want to talk about this person, and this is not, when people say I'm too old, it's not, so I don't have time to do this. Um, one of the student, he was 77-year-old when he came saying, "Hey, Dharam, I want to do PgMP," and he's a Spanish speaking, and come from Cambodia, not Cambodia, yeah. What is this place in South America? Uh,
Colombia.
Colombia, yeah. And and said, "You're 77. Why you want to, PGMP is not easy. Look, Dharam, I want to always, feel that I'm learning something new challenge myself. And I wanted to contribute. And he's also teaching in universities in Colombia. And so look, age is not a problem, not a bar. Just because you're 50 or 55 or 60, you're old. No. This is maybe start of new learning and certification, and you're doing MBA or maybe learning new skills, playing guitar, or I don't know, I can play guitar, but I can do things we're doing. But yes, find out what else you can learn. You know, um, that's what I can.
Yeah, to add on to that, I have one particular mentor as well that I'm blessed to work with. He's a retired two-star Air Force general. So he has multiple, master's degrees, things like that, and senior vice president for our company. And quite frankly, I think he's owned a business before and sold it. Very successful man. And quite frankly, he probably doesn't need to do anything if he didn't want to. And just recently, he completed his doctorate degree.
Wow.
And I asked him, I said, I'm just curious, why? And he said, well, Justin, I wanted to get it because in my later years here, in my twilight years, I recognize that in the stage of my life, I'm going to be teaching. He does a lot of speaking engagements now. I'm going to be teaching folks and trying to give proper advice and ways to navigate the world we now live in. And he goes, and I wanted to make sure that I had everything I possibly could to be armed to give them the best information and present to them in a way that it was going to be the most beneficial for them. And so I went and got my doctorate degree. And so I'm sitting there going, as I'm completing my MBA, I'm going, well, geez,
Next
Justin,
target.
what's your excuse? So those are the type of things. And of course, the pessimist, I'm a firm believer in never looking back. You can't change the past. But you have to look back, and I'm 40 years old now, and I've had a great 2.5 years of racking up great certifications and education, and I plan to continue that. But you have to ask yourself, Justin, where would you be now if you would have flipped that switch 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So again, it's part of that self-assessment. I have no regrets. I'm a firm believer that, everything happens in life for a reason, but it is something that you kind of can wonder. It's not a regret or anything. I don't dwell on it. But hey, Justin, you were able to complete all these when you were, in a senior leadership position, and you found time when you didn't. When you were younger, you didn't have near the responsibilities. You had time. You chose not to. You
Yeah.
know, you have to ask yourself, and that's something that, I can't change, but I know that and God willing, that I have children in the future. That is something that I'm going to make sure that I stay on my children for, is, take advantage of the opportunities now, because it will pay off in the end.
And actually, this is very good motivation. Yes, you cannot change. You cannot go back 10 years ago when you have more time and more, free time. You have more energy. And now you want, like say you're 40 or somebody is 45, 50, you don't want to be in a situation where you look back when you are a little older. Hey, I should have done something when I was watching this video. When Dharam and Justin was talking, I was thinking of doing something, but I said, oh, PgMP, PfMP too difficult. I will do it later on. And you don't look back that way. Oh, I listened to them and I did something, and that changed my career path or my lifestyle forever. And and
Right.
and these certificates, what you got, five of them that year, and the MBA, these not just for sake of certification, just because Justin got so many, Dharam got so many, and XYZ got so many. It's not about competing how many certificates you have. What are you learning from this certificate? What will
That's
happen
right.
when you do this certificate and when you go in front of your senior managers or your steering committee? Your body language, your facial expression, all make difference. The understanding of situation is very different than you go in naive with no knowledge of other what else is happening. Versus when you can be more calm and control, and you can listen to them and you can provide better solution than what you know without a certificate.
Exactly. And I'd even say too, is because you'll see it a lot, is a lot of folks now will go and get all these certifications and it looks, gaudy on a LinkedIn profile or a link or a resume. But when you start talking to them about, okay, well, did you enjoy this part of the curriculum? They look at you like, I don't remember it. Again, don't just get certifications to make it look pretty.
Yeah,
Do it because it's going to add value to not only probably your current work, but where you want to go in the future. I think that's very important because I see there's a lot of it going on where just getting certifications to get them when they're not adding any value or you're not learning anything.
yeah. Another thing I like to tell people watching this is, don't just give up because somebody said that is difficult. And that was difficult for that person because he has not gone using a proper direction or a proper learning process. You can actually find different way. Your path can be different, and if you think positively, this certificate like PGMP, PFM, very very few of profession have that. But and many people say that, hey, it's difficult, very difficult. But when you talk to people like just me or somebody else who has done this, and I so many people gone through me, I will make the journey so easy. Not just it's how can you learn things and get the things done, and not just for the passing the exam, but to learn that stay with you, and maybe hopefully that go to your DNA, and that stays with your 7 generations if it goes into DNA.
Yeah, well, I mean, as they say, you see some of the most successful people in the world, uh, and it's a testament, you can't get to the testament of success until you've been tested. And I guarantee you, every single one of those people that are, some of the most successful people in the world, believe me, they've been in the fire and have gone through things that have tested them every way, shape, or form, personally and professionally, and they've come out on top. And that's just by pure determination and focus. And anyone can do it. It's just the ability to stay in the game and never give up.
Exactly.
Nothing is ever given to you. And so you always have to remember that. And, hey, hard work, as I say, the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Yep. Harder you work, better luck you're going to have. Exactly.
That's right.
Because like I strongly believe in that, because when you are working towards a direction and working hard with the full passion, word and universe also help you to get there. That's where the
That's
luck
right.
comes, and the lot of coincidences happening. Hey, I never thought this person going to come in my life, and suddenly he's in my life, and he made my life change forever. Was it planned? Not by you, but maybe universe.
That's right.
Exactly. Let me ask this question as well. Looking forward, what major trends will impact program management over the next decade? And how are you preparing to meet these challenges?
Well, certainly on the technology front, AI, we've talked about it. I'm behind. I need to
Yeah,
get caught
get
up.
it done.
Yeah, just the technology, you think about it. And I'm trying to think here in the 90s when Microsoft Windows really kind of came out and the transformation of now what we've had. And I think we're probably on that. Well, we're probably about on the verge of another very big breakout of technology that really is going to change our lives in a way that Windows did in the early 90s. And I think that that's something that is very interesting. I think where there definitely will be some great efficiencies gained within the technology sectors. But the real challenge is we've talked about it before, is the soft skills are going to be of greater importance. And the thing of it is that you have to realize when we talk about soft skills, because we're going to be interfacing with more and more technology, it is going to be more important for people to make sure they continue to speak to people. You already see kind of some are in the younger generations where, hey, just pick up the phone and call them instead of texting them or
Yeah,
things like that. It'd be communication in the verbal or oral presentation is becoming more and more irrelevant, or at least changing the way we've done it in the past. And so being able to develop those soft skills comes from talking to people. So when you see it in a lot of places. I go to a restaurant, I'm ordering on a machine, and it just, you cut, or you're sitting in Japan. The beautiful thing, my wife loved it. She's like, these people are living in the future here. You sit down at one of those sushi conveyor belt type sushi places. You sit on an iPad type screen and you order what you want, and it comes out on a conveyor belt, and you never see it. You don't have the actual interface with a person until you go to pay the bill. And I'm sure it's just only a matter of fact until that, the pay the bill will all be right there at the table. So being able to talk with people and develop those soft skills is really going to probably get harder and harder. And I think, again, when you embrace the cultural significance, again, I've been blessed to work over here in the Middle East and consider it a second home for sure. Again, being able to understand the local culture, being able to, have tea with them and all those different things, and share a meal, it's going to be more and more important for business as well as just our daily lives to be able to maintain those soft skills, and for those coming up, being able to really develop those skills, because it's going to get more and more challenging with more and more technology in our lives.
exactly. And you give a very good example, when you sit on there and food is coming in front of you, and you don't see anybody, and I when I go to restaurant, it's not just eating food. It's somebody come and smile and take your order and bring the food by themselves. Of course, that's the manual labor, but that's something you like. Otherwise, what's the difference? Go and open your freezer and warm the food, and you just eat on your table.
Yeah,
So
it's all about the experience and creating memories. That's what life's about.
yeah, of
And
course,
that's one thing.
your
Yeah.
wife got excited to see the conveyor belt and all this. It's a good one first time, second time, but when you go next time, you like to see, what? It's so boring, just a plate. Anyway, so
Don't get me wrong, everyone. I love sushi. Japanese, I actually have great admiration for them. They are extremely, well respected, and my wife is. I would say that's probably her favorite country in the world, and I've always enjoyed my time there in Japan. So just want to make that clear for all the viewers at home.
exactly. And definitely, while we're getting into artificial intelligence and lots of machine-based, decision-making devices and all those things, but at the same time, you're running a project program. That's, this interaction with your stakeholders, with your senior managers, with your beneficiary, the customer, is so important. And good news is, by having this technology, can be taking away some of your admin pressure. You can pay more attention to your stakeholders around you, your team members, your clients, and build a relationship with them.
Well, and I would even say is, we've kind of to bring it all come back together today is from the certifications and my MBA standpoint. It gives me the skills to be able to think outside the box, to be able to, how can I use this technology to make us better and more efficient, or to save the company money, or, that's where you're really bringing it all together. You take that knowledge that you've learned and being able to implement it and be able to leverage that technology to the greatest extent possible to make your company a real at a competitive advantage that others simply won't have. And again, that kind of just comes all full circle. It gives you that knowledge from a stakeholder engagement and everything to be able to make sure you're delivering, for your customer in the end.
Great, 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 great. Look, thanks, Justin, once again. It was a great discussion, especially this time we're talking, drawing on your own experience and how you, establish yourself as a successful project program portfolio manager, senior leader in with the difficult scenarios, and utilizing your stakeholder engagement or stakeholder relationship communication, a number of skills, leadership style, being resilient, being agile. All this helps you to be a successful leader you are at the moment, which is a great thing. And some people who are following you or listening to you, this conversation, I'm sure if they take learn 1% out of this, and that can definitely change their life. Okay.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. So thank you once again. And I'm already looking forward to the next session coming up in next few weeks.
Same here, my friend. Great to talk to you as always, and looking forward to another one soon.
Yeah, great. And guys, take care of yourself and enjoy your work.